Good morning and welcome to this week's Red Short webinar. My name is Mac and today I'll be discussing a new high-severity vulnerability discovered in the service location protocol. As always, you can find information on similar topics at redskylines.org. If you've missed any of the previous Red Shorts, you can find them there as well. Researchers from BitSide have discovered a high-severity vulnerability tracked as CVE 2023-29552 in the service location protocol. Attackers exploiting this vulnerability could leverage instances to launch massive DOS amplification attacks with a factor as high as 2,200 times, potentially making it one of the largest amplification attacks ever reported. In February 2023, 2,000 global organizations and over 54,000 SLP instances were reported, including VMware Hypervisor, PlanX routers, and others, that attackers could potentially leveraged to launch DOS attacks on unsuspecting organizations around the world. Given the criticality of the vulnerability and the potential consequences resulting from exploitation, DHS has conducted extensive outreach for potentially impacted vendors. SLP is a protocol that was created in 1997 to provide a dynamic configuration mechanism for applications in local area networks. SLP allows systems on a network to find each other and communicate with each other. It does this by using a directory of available services, which can include things like printers, file servers, and other network resources. SLP works by having a system register with itself and a directory agent, which then makes that system's services available to other systems on the network. SLP was not intended to be made available to the public internet. However, the protocol has been found on a variety of instances connected to the internet. A recent internet-wide scan revealed that more than 54,000 SLP-speaking instances online belonging to organizations across many sectors and geographies. As mentioned earlier, if exploited, 29552 allows an attacker to leverage vulnerable instances to launch a DOS attack, sending massive amounts of traffic to a victim via a reflective amplification attack. DOS attacks have made headlines in recent years, causing significant financial, reputational, and operational harm. With attacks predicted to double from 2018 to the end of 2023, organizations continue to fall victim to service disruptions. In fact, small to medium-sized businesses spend an average of $120,000 as a result of a DOS attack, while larger organizations may face larger financial losses due to a relatively higher cost of disruption. Large multinational enterprises are not immune to these attacks. Amazon Web Services, GitHub, and even nation-states have fallen victim. In a typical reflective DOS amplification attack, the attacker usually sends a small request to a server with a spoofed source IP address that corresponds to the victim's IP address. The server then replies to the victim's IP, sending much larger responses than the request, generating large amounts of traffic to the victim's system. The attacker is simply tricking systems on the internet, not necessarily owned by the target, to send mass amounts of traffic to the target. When leveraging this vulnerability, reflection coupled with service registration significantly amplifies the amount of traffic sent to the victim. The typical reply packet size for an SLP server is between 48 and 350 bytes. Assuming a 29-byte request, the amplification factor, or the ratio of the reply to request magnitudes, is roughly between 1.6 and 12 times in this situation. However, SLP allows an unauthenticated user to register arbitrary new services, meaning an attacker can manipulate both the content and the size of the server reply, resulting in a maximum amplification factor of over 2,200 times due to the roughly 65,000 byte response given a 29-byte request. This extremely high amplification factor allows for an under-resourced threat actor to have a significant impact on a targeted network and/or server. 29552 is a threat that can potentially impact business continually and result in financial loss, even if an attacker has limited resources. Organizations must implement appropriate security measures to safeguard their networks and servers from being used in such attacks. One effective way to protect against SLP vulnerabilities is by implementing robust security network protocols such as firewalls. It is equally important to enforce strong authentication and access controls, allowing only authorized users to access the correct network resources, with access being closely monitored and audited. Organizations should also have an incident response plan in place that clearly outlines procedures for mitigating SLP vulnerabilities, as well as procedures for communicating with users in case of an incident. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the material and found it useful. I know it was an especially dry one, so thanks for following along. If you have any further questions, you can contact Jim at the email address on the screen. Have a good one, and we'll see you next week.